We are attending the meeting, but we can't hear you. We don't have any audio.
We're just about to start. If you don't mind going on mute until we call on you, please.
Thank you.
So before we begin today's meeting, Seguin Township acknowledges that we are on the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe peoples in the Huron-Robinson Treaty Area. We recognize and respect the long history of the First Nations and Métis peoples on this land, and that this region continues to be home to many thriving First Nations communities that have lived on Turtle Island for time immemorial. Seguin Township is committed to ongoing learning, responsible stewardship of our planet, and building relationships to help create a better future for generations to come. If I could have a mover and seconder, please, to convene as Committee of Adjustment for December 11th, moved by Greg, seconded by Wibb. That Committee of Adjustment for the Corporation of the Township of Seguin hereby convenes at 16:01 p.m. on Wednesday, December 11th, 2024. All in favor? And carried. So Seguin Township Committee of Adjustment hereby convenes a public meeting as per the Planning Act. Applicants and the public may speak at the public meeting. When asked who wishes to speak to an application, please raise your hand, state your name and address, and direct all comments through me. Notice of the decisions will be sent to applicants and to the public if requested. Only the prescribed persons as per the Planning Act may appeal a decision or condition of approval within 20 days after the decision. Folks joining remotely, please pay attention to your microphone settings and stay on mute until you're addressing the committee. Thank you. So I require a mover and seconder, please, to accept the agenda for today's meeting. Moved by Lee, seconded by Greg. That the Committee of Adjustment for the Corporation of the Township of Seguin hereby approves the agenda for the December 11th, 2024 hearing. All in favor? And carried. So we have a couple of administrative items. We have the appointment of the Secretary Treasurer and Deputy Secretary Treasurer in lieu of Ashley's departure. So if I could have a mover and seconder, please, for the Secretary Treasurer, moved by Lee, seconded by Greg. That the Committee of Adjustment for the Corporation of the Township of Seguin hereby appoints Melissa Profit, Acting Planner for the Township of Seguin, as the committee's Secretary Treasurer. All in favor? And carried. Welcome, or welcome back. I'm not sure. And one more time for the Deputy Secretary Treasurer, mover and seconder, please. Lee and Len. Moved by Lee, seconded by Len, that the Committee of Adjustment for the Corporation of the Township of Seguin hereby appoints Brady Debus, Acting Senior Planner for the Township of Seguin, as the committee's Deputy Secretary Treasurer. All in favor? And carried. And mover and seconder for approving the minutes of the last hearing, Greg and Wibb. Moved by Greg, seconded by Wibb, that the Committee of Adjustment for the Corporation of the Township of Seguin hereby accepts as read and circulated the minutes of its last hearing that took place on Wednesday, November 13th, 2024. All in favor? And carried. So I will ask our new Secretary Treasurer to, one more item before we do that. Pecuniary interest. Any declarations with regard to today's hearings? None heard. Now you may please introduce our first application, please.
The purpose of minor variance application A-2024-0036-F, Glen Burnie, is to construct a new gazebo with an attached deck and a new roof over an existing deck. Variances are required for maximum floor area of a gazebo, front yard setbacks for a gazebo and deck, interior side yard setback for a gazebo, and to permit 2 gazebos. No formal correspondence was received.
Thank you. Do we have anyone in attendance? I think, were we expecting John Jackson?
I am John
Oh,
Jackson.
there you are. Sorry, didn't see you. You're in the bottom corner. Mr. Jackson, what do you have to say to the committee this morning or this afternoon?
Thank you, Chair Warner and the committee. Good afternoon. This is part of the evolution of converting the former Glen Burnie Lodge into condominiums. And this is kind of the first big movement in that phase to get commenced. So where the patio is currently, it kind of concentrates itself on the western half of the shoreline frontage, which will be where the first phase of condominium development, which will have floating boathouses located, is to occur. To keep the patio functioning as a restaurant without a break, we need the whole patio activity to slide over to the opposite side of the shoreline. So it is in preparation of that next major movement that this actual redesign is to occur. And it's quite simple. I'd be happy to answer any questions. It's getting to the point where it's quite exciting because things are starting. The model home has been put up and there's a lot of interest growing quickly. So I'd be happy to answer any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Any questions from committee? Go ahead, please, Len. Len, do you mind tapping your mic button, please?
John, you said that this is a temporary thing, did you?
No, actually, it'll be the final resting place of the new patio. Interestingly, contrary to my belief, that the new condominium owners would have wanted the whole patio restaurant activity location phased out, but apparently that's quite a sizzle for the purchasers of these units. So this will be the new fixed home of the patio restaurant, which will still remain open to the public, but it's something that the new residents will want to continue.
Len, anything further?
Yeah. Does this new development impinge on parking?
No, there still will be the existing parking available.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Len, anything further from committee? All right, I'll ask for a mover and seconder then to bring this forward. Moved by Wibb, seconded by Greg. That the Committee of Adjustment hereby approves variance application A-2024-0036-F, Glen Burnie, to permit a new gazebo with an attached deck and a new roof over an existing deck, and are requesting the following variances to zoning bylaw 2006-125. Under section 4.1.9C, maximum floor area for a gazebo, including attached decks, permitted is 24 square meters, proposed is 134.5 square meters for a variance of 110.5 square meters. Under section 4.19C, maximum of 1 gazebo in the required front yard, permitted is 1 gazebo, proposed is 2 gazebos for a variance of 1 gazebo. I think that's the first time we've had that one. Section 7.3, Table 7.2, minimum front yard setback for a roof over existing deck. 20 meters minimum setback is permitted. Proposed is 1 meter for a variance of 19 meters. And under section 7.3, table 7.2, minimum interior side setback for a gazebo, 15 meters permitted. Proposed is 1.1 for a variance of 13.9 meters. Subject to the following conditions, the extent of the variance will generally conform to that shown on the sketch plan submitted in the application. And number 2, the owner obtains a building permit for the roof covering deck and gazebo within 3 years of the date of decision of the Committee of Adjustment. All in favor? And carried.
The application has now been approved. You will get a letter in the next few days notifying you of the decision, and the 20-day appeal period starts now.
Okay, thank you, Melissa. So moving on to our next application, please. Would you like to introduce the next one, please, Melissa?
Twenty 2024-0038-M Morrow is to construct an addition to a legal non-complying dwelling. A variance is required to permit the expansion of a legal non-complying dwelling with a reduced front yard setback, subject to a maximum floor area increase of 84 square meters and a maximum shoreline width increase of 6.4 meters from what is existing, and a 1% increase in lot coverage. No formal correspondence was received.
Thank you. Do we have, I believe, Mr. Moore here to address committee on this application? Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, sir. I'm here on behalf of the Morrows. This is a family cottage, a growing family. They have a new grandchild on the way, and they're looking to extend the size of their cottage so they can continue to enjoy it. I have nothing really else to say unless council has some questions.
Okay, very good. Thanks. Committee members, comments, questions? Len, any questions?
None, thank you.
Okay. All right, then I will ask for mover and seconder, please. Moved by Lee, seconded by Greg. That the Committee of Adjustment hereby approve variance application A-2024-0038-M for Morrow to construct an addition to an existing legal complying dwelling subject to a maximum shoreline width increase of 6.4 meters and a floor area increase of 84 square meters from what is existing. The following variances to zoning bylaw 2006-125 are being requested. Under section 6.3, table 6.2, minimum front yard setback required is 20 meters. Proposed is 11.8 meters. And the variance required is 8.2 meters. Under section 6.3, table 6.3, lot coverage 8% required. Proposed is 9, and the variance is 1% that is being asked for. Subject to the following conditions, the extent of the variance will generally conform to that shown on the sketch plan submitted in the application. And number 2, the owner applies for and obtains a building permit for the addition within 3 years of the date of decision of the Committee of Adjustment. All in favor? And carried.
The application has now been approved. You will get a letter in the next few days notifying you of the decision, and the 20-day appeal period starts now.
All right, thank you. So we have a memo on the next one, Cosma. This was one that was adjourned last meeting. Melissa, anything to add on this?
No, this is a memo for minor variance application A-2024-0039H Cosma to be deferred until the applicant has submitted the requested information. No formal correspondence was received.
So I have a question actually of planning. Is this sort of an indefinite deferral or is there a time limit on these, or how is that handled?
No, we're just going to defer it until the applicant has submitted the requested information. We don't have a timeline for it yet, so we won't set a date for the next hearing.
Okay. Mover and seconder, please, then, to bring forward a deferral motion moved by Greg, seconded by Wib. That the Committee of Adjustment hereby defers application A 2024-0039H for Cosma until such time that the applicant has a revised proposal for committee's consideration. All in favor? And carried. Okay, Madam Secretary Treasurer, who's up next?
The purpose of minor variance application A-2024-0041-H Phillips is to construct an addition to an existing dwelling. The applicants are requesting a variance for lot coverage within 60 meters of the shoreline. Correspondence in favor of the proposal was received from Charlene and Christopher Page, Leslie Jones, Linda, and Helen Spanier.
Okay, thank you. Do we have someone from Planscape, I believe, here? Thanks. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of committee. I'm just going to pull up my notes here. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Stefan Sherbach with Planscape Inc., 104 Kimberley Avenue in Bracebridge. I'm here today representing the Phillips family who own the subject lands. Just to provide a brief history, we were here before the Committee of Adjustment back in 2009 for a minor variance application to increase the lot coverage to 7.5% within the first 60 meters of the property. This variance was necessary for constructing a 138 square meter detached accessory structure, which was to be located behind the dwelling and partially outside of the 60-meter setback. At that time, Mr. Chair, the existing garage on the subject property was believed to be beyond the 60-meter setback and not included in the requested coverage. Since that time, the applicants received a recent surveyor's real property report, and it was revealed that both the garage and the proposed location of this accessory structures are all within the 60-meter setback. So this resulted in a lot coverage that exceeds the previously approved 7.5%. When the applicant applied for the building permit, this issue was raised, and we were obviously retained to bring this application forward. So in front of you is a revised site plan, and the new variance requested is to recognize the existing garage location. It's also requested to permit the construction of a 36.8 square meter addition to the dwelling and build a smaller detached family exercise structure. This structure was moved so that it's entirely outside of the 60-meter setback. So as a result, the lot coverage within 60 meters is now at 8.5% to include the garage. And this is, so the application is requesting an additional 1% beyond what was currently permitted at 7.5%. With the garage now located, included within this coverage, we're recognizing this garage. So really the additional lot coverage is 0.5%. And again, that's to permit a 36.8 square meter addition to the existing dwelling. It's important to note that this modified proposal does not exceed the total development that was originally proposed in 2009. It's just simply horse trading, shuffling some of this coverage throughout the property based on the revealing that the 60-meter setback now includes the garage. I've reviewed the staff report. It's very thorough. The analysis is very similar to that contained in our planning justification report. We share the same conclusions with your staff, where the application clearly meets the 4 tests when reviewing a minor variance application. And we've also reviewed the recommended conditions, and they are also very reasonable. So in conclusion, we're satisfied with the recommendations from your staff, and we would respectfully request the committee to support the application. And I'm here if you have any questions related to this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for a nice, clear synopsis. Anything from committee? All right, if we could have a mover and seconder, please, to bring this forward, Greg and Wibb. Moved by Greg, seconded by Wibb, that the Committee of Adjustment hereby approves variance application A-2024-0041-H for Phillips to construct an addition to the existing dwelling and are requesting the following variance to zoning bylaw 2006-125. For LSR-60 lot coverage within 60 meters of the shoreline, maximum permitted is 7.5%. 8% is existing. Proposed is 8.5% for a variance of 1% or 0.5% from existing coverage. Subject to the following conditions. Number one, the extent of the variance will generally conform to that shown on the sketch plan submitted in the application. And number two, that the owner applies for and obtains the required building permit for the addition within 3 years of the date of decision of the Committee of Adjustment. All in favor? And carried.
The application has been approved. You will get a letter in the next few days notifying you of the decision, and the 20-day appeal period starts now.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Okay, I guess we're down to our last one. Melissa, please.
The purpose of minor variance application A-2024-0042C Gozdowski is to construct a one-story detached garage. The applicants are requesting a variance for building height of an accessory structure. No formal correspondence was received.
Okay, thank you. I believe we have Mr. and Mrs. Godzowski here if you wish to address the committee.
Thank you to the chairman and the committee for hearing our request. We're in need of a simple one-story garage with enough ceiling height for a van with a roof rack and storage above, and we're happy to answer any questions the committee may have.
Short and sweet, thank you. Committee, any questions? Okay, mover and seconder, please, to bring this forward. We have Wibb and Len. Moved by Wibb, seconded by Len, that the Committee of Adjustment hereby approves variance application A-2024-0042-C for Gozdowski to construct a one-story detached garage, excuse me, on the subject lands and is requesting the following variance to zoning bylaw 2006-125 under section 4.1.4 building height for accessory structure. Maximum permitted 4.5 meters, proposed 5.1 meters for a variance of 0.6 meters. Subject to the following conditions, the extent of the variance will generally conform to that shown on the sketch plan submitted with the application, and the owner applies for and obtains the required building permit for the garage within 3 years of the date of decision of the Committee of Adjustment. All in favor? And carried.
Thank you.
Yep. The application has now been approved. You will get a letter in the next few days notifying you of the decision, and the 20-day appeal period starts now.
Okay, thank you, folks. Other business, expense sheets. I'm assuming you're reminding us to submit expense sheets. Okay. Everyone is reminded. Anything further on other business? Len, anything?
Nothing from me, thank you.
Okay, no. Well, then I guess we'll wind up for the year. So thanks everyone for another year, and we got halfway through, I guess, of our term. So another couple of years to go. All right, so move for adjournment then, please. Greg and Len. Sorry. Yeah, I guess it was Len. All hands go up at once, so I just picked some. That the Committee of Adjustment for the Corporation of the Township of Seguin hereby adjourns this hearing at 16:24 on Wednesday, December 11th, 2024. The committee will hold its next hearing at 4 p.m. on Wednesday, January the 15th, 2025, or at the call of the chair unless the Secretary Treasurer has not received complete applications for committee consideration. All in favor? And carried.